It's pretty clear to me right now, and it might be to you too, that we're living in dystopian times, like Mad Max almost times, Blade Runner times, 1984 times. And I'm not sure it's possible right now to avoid any of the looming catastrophes that seem to be breathing down our necks. But in fact, most of them seem to be winning the race. I mean, we're breathing down catastrophe's neck. But um, I don't know. I don't think the solution is likely to be easy necessarily, but I do think there is a solution. And while not easy, I do think it is simple, at least partly, and it involves each of us individually. And this is what this video is about. So when I was a kid, we would drive in the country, you know, and there were insects. There were loads of insects. And after like an hour driving, we would stump the car and we would wash the windshield of the car because we couldn't see anything anymore because there were so many insects, crashing on the car. That's just to be expected. And for many years now, there are no insects anymore. When you drive from one country to the other, one city to the other, like if you do a 1 hour, 2 hour drive, you get there and hooray, no cleaning the windshield, progress. But, they didn't move away, those insects. They didn't retire to Florida. They died massively. Yeah, so that can't be good. you know, in my backyard, walking around, we used to hear insects, we used to see insects. They're practically gone. So, that's an example. And when I was a kid, there was also music in the air. And that's the big thing here. When I was a kid, music meant something. And it hasn't for a long time. I mean, collectively, when was the last time you heard a song on the radio? I mean, it does happen. I heard a good song this week in the supermarket, like one, and a few months before that, I heard a pretty good song. So once in a while, I do hear them, and people still write them. You can find good music certainly on YouTube, but I still get this feeling that like for 30 years there hasn't been really there have been okay songs. There have been there's been like Radiohead. I was a big Radiohead fan, but I still get the feeling that something has been lost, kind of like those insects. And it's like the creativity. That's the thing. I grew up in the 80s, in the early 80s, and every song that was on the radio was trying to be creative and unique. That's the thing. I didn't like necessarily all of them, and a lot of those people were cynical, So a lot of the glam rock artists, for instance. I like a lot of it, but no, I like Rat a lot, but that whole movement, it was very, it was very cynical. But still, there was craftsmanship, and most crucially, even, musically, essentially incompetent people like Joy Division. They couldn't play. They couldn't play to save their lives, but they changed the culture. Like they're one of the most important bands of all time. They're truly an epochal band, and they made maybe like 2 records while Ian Curtis was alive. So what am I getting at here? There was I don't know what the reason. There was obviously a commercialization of music. The big radio stations came in with their playlist, their computer prepared playlist with their surveys and it's the early version of click-through rates and stuff like that. So it's very scientific, and they chose the 200 songs that made it so that people wouldn't change the channel after 10 seconds. And I mean, I was taught that. I studied radio after high school for a while, so they explained that to me at the time. So yeah, and for money, right? Because more ads, so less people clicking away, more ads. So more ads, you hear, those are now the 200 songs you will hear for the rest of your life. So that kind of killed a lot of the creativity. But cut a long story short, it's the same for that as for the seemingly imminent collapse of Western civilization. So it doesn't matter at this stage what caused it. It really doesn't. I mean, it will matter later. But right, it matters when these things matter when you're trying to avert global catastrophe. You know, when you think there's a chance you might avert it. But I'm past that. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm not praying for it, but you know, there's no. Yeah, it's pointless now, I think, to try to figure out who really caused it, because ultimately it was all of us. It was all of us. I mean, we accepted it, and we didn't. And anyway, even that, we'll talk about it afterwards. But what is afterwards? Well, we have to rebuild. I think we have to prepare the rebuilding. That's what I think. And like the Renaissance. And I've noticed something which maybe you've noticed as well, which is about life, which is basically that life wants to heal itself. Like your body, usually it just, if you get a scratch, it heals, right? And most of the times your body is the one doing the actual healing, you know. And I studied, you know, I studied with a Native American healer, and lots of people, you know. Anyway, I did do that. I mean, I spent some time. He was a friend of mine, and he taught me some stuff. And what he told me was that it's always the person healing himself or herself. You know, every medicine on earth, every doctor on earth, all the healer is really doing is helping the person heal himself, his body, you know. And what the world really needs right now, it seems to me, is healing, you know. And I think that the music is healing. I think music, because I do music, but also I'm writing a novel, I do other stuff, and all that is part of the healing. Whatever it is you have inside you that wants to come out, that is the healing. So if you're an artist, obviously it's very simple, but there's, you know, if you want to plant a garden, if you have this urge or this feeling inside you, you know, I should really do that. Well, that's the healing, you know. And we've spent so much time not listening to our creative urges, to our intuitions. And I do think that's a big part of how we got into so much trouble. And I do think the way out, I mean, the rebuilding of truly, like, not only decent, but like a truly wonderful humanity. I do believe in that. Comes through, you know, yeah, expressing the best of ourselves, and which is the deepest part of ourselves, and which expresses itself, for instance, in my case, in music. But whatever you do, that's the thing. So whatever it is inside you that wants to come out, and that might include grief for a while, that might include all those emotions, that's normal. But usually once you're past that, there's a creativity in you, and that is what the world needs right now. So I'm quite anxious, quite curious to see what you will create, and I'm quite grateful to live in a time when I will see the beauty that you will create to heal the world.